Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Active Quest. This is episode 27. I'm your host, Joseph Yaden, and today I'm joined by Chris Penwell. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
It's good to be here with you today. You're sounding as British as always, so that's good. Have you heard reports of people just losing their Britishness? Does that happen, or is that not a thing?
It does happen. I moved when I was 15, so it's so my accent's just not going to go away. Like it was too matured.
It's ingrained.
So
but there's some Canadianisms coming out of me every once in a while.
Because you're a British person living in Canada. It's very strange. And also Josh Nichols. Hello, Josh.
Joseph, how are you?
Oh, hold on. Oh, there it is.
I'm actually glad you did that. Chris and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about how I wonder if people think we stole that from Kind of Funny. So I just wanted to let everyone know I actually started drinking LaCroix because of Tim Geddes. When I started dieting, I'm like, well, Tim's drinking this shit. What's this? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, there's no calories. Wait. It's natural and it's tasty. So that's actually why I drink it.
Do they?
I blame Nick Scott.
Do they open up their drinks on the show as well?
I don't. Maybe they have, but not traditionally. I think it's just like it's front and center, and everybody knows that Tim drinks it.
Yeah, they don't do it to start the show.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. But Chris and I were just like thinking, like, I wonder if people think that we like stole that. So just to let everyone know, I am a loyal LaCroix drinker because of Tim Geddes. Let Tim host.
So he should, let Tim host. So he should probably get a little bit of a cut of what you're spending.
He should. He should. I mean, honestly.
So it's good to be here with you guys today. Check out last week's episode too, everybody, because we had an awesome time talking with Chris Souza. He does PR, and it's just really interesting to learn about all that stuff because it's something you don't hear about. Before we get into the show, just a couple notes here. Of course, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, anywhere really that has podcasts. You can support us on Patreon. We've got that $1 tier. We're still working on other stuff. One day we'll have all that worked out.
We're always super busy.
I just want to say too really quick. Quest Complete is that new series we're going to be launching. Chris and I are doing the first episode. We were going to do it this month. We just got so busy. So it is still happening, guys. I'm very excited. Chris is, Joseph, they're all excited. I have actually already bought The Evil Within again because I couldn't find my copy to play with. Anyway, we're working on it. It's going to happen. It's just June was busy for all of our personal lives. So it just a little convention, just small one that happens sometimes. Yeah, I think it's Electronic 3 time. I don't remember, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And tell everybody what Quest Complete is for those who don't know.
So it's a little spin-off series that we all developed it together. Of course, the idea for it, but I kind of approached Joseph and Chris about it because there's a podcast I love and I'd like to credit it. It's called Watch Out for Fireballs, and it's literally like a games club, think book club podcast where they play through a game together, the two hosts, Gary and oh my god, it's my favorite podcast. I can't remember the names. I'm tired, I guess. Anyway, Watch Out for Fireballs, and they'll play through the games, and then they'll talk about it for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I mean, depending on the length of the game, of course. But they'll go through the generalities of the game. It came out around this time, and I've never played it or I have played it, and they're kind of their quick personal history, but then they'll kind of basically just go through the game beat by beat. If it's a gameplay game, then maybe kind of the specifics on important key points and levels. If it's a story-based game, they'll hit all the beats. But anyway, it's just like you'd think of a book club, and I thought, well, we all play a large variety of games, and it'd be fun to, hey, Chris, you played this? No, I haven't. Let's play it and talk about it. And then Joseph gets to, so we thought that'd be fun to do, and it's kind of a good balance between your traditional topic and maybe a review episode. So our first episode is going to be What Remains of Edith Finch. Second episode is Life is Strange. Third episode is The Evil Within. We're going to have our first episode come out in July. I know we said June before, but we were just so busy. So I kind of went on a little long there. But yeah, we are going to be doing it soon, and we're all very excited for it.
Yeah. So that's a kind of nice way for all of us to sort of be on the same page, because as you can tell with all of our episodes, a lot of times we are playing vastly different things, so we may not all be able to chime in when it comes time to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, and it provides good perspective, because maybe maybe I haven't played a certain game, and maybe I'd like it, maybe I wouldn't. But either way, it's a good back and forth between,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. And then look, stay tuned for that coming in June. And then,
July.
of course, this is June.
This month was so busy, we're like, oh, wait, no, it's over.
Yeah, July. And then, of course, we've got our T-shirts you can buy on Teespring, so we've got a link in the description for that. And then for this episode, nothing too wild, actually, has happened. I guess after E3, everything has sort of died down. Couple of things to note. The PS Plus and Games with Gold games have been announced, so we'll go through those. Let's see, what else we got here? The Square Enix president was talking about streaming and his opinion on that, so we'll discuss that. There's been some interesting controversy with Game Freak and their decision to limit the amount of Pokemon that you can download, or well, not download, but what is it with the importing and everything?
They're not going to have everybody in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So that, and then right now, Games Done Quick is going on, and there's they're doing awesome stuff with that. Of course, there are a bunch of streams and charity things that you can do with donating, that kind of thing. So this is just a quick story. We're going to touch on that, and then finally, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are joining forces against Trump's tariffs. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll end the show, of course, with what we've been playing. So yeah, we're about already like 7 and change minutes in. So let's just get started today if you guys are ready to talk about some news.
Ready to go.
Alright, yeah, so let's just start with this first story here. This is from PlayStation Lifestyle here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but yeah, this is the one covering Square Enix's president doesn't think console and PC players will switch to cloud anytime soon. So let's find the quote here. And let's see. For some context, this is the head of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, thank you. Talking with I guess it's GameIndustry.biz. Let me make sure I've got GameIndustry.biz. Cool. All right, so here's the quote. Quote, for people who are already playing games on consoles or PCs, I think it will be unlikely for them to suddenly switch over to the cloud streaming environment. I say that because the consoles and the PCs right now offer a very stable and great environment in which to play games. So for that reason, with the services that are just launching and there being a lack of clarity on what the gameplay experience is going to be like, I just think it is unlikely that these people are suddenly going to switch over to the cloud, end quote. And then later on he says, quote, at the same time, I think there is a lot of people who around the world might not own a console or a PC, but are still interested in these games. There are a lot of people who are watching the gameplay on Twitch and YouTube. When you think about how many people who are watching these games being streamed, you realize that there are probably a lot of people out there who might not be willing to invest upfront in a console, but they still want to play these games, end quote. Just an interesting thing, as these next-gen consoles are starting to be revealed and more information is coming out about them, all of these like higher-ups or developers or these important industry people have their takes on the next-gen consoles. Like before we covered a story on the head of Platinum saying that he's not impressed with the next-gen consoles.
Right, yeah.
Or in this case, Matsuda saying he doesn't think streaming is going to catch on as quickly as a lot of people might hope. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair point. I'll toss it to you guys though. Is it valid? Do you agree with him?
I don't think it's gonna. I guess it depends on what he's trying to. If he thinks if he's saying it's not going to replace traditional gaming anytime soon, I definitely don't think that's going to happen at all. Personally, I think people are always. I think gaming also. We all like to collect. I mean, at least a lot of us do. We like to collect. Ownership's important. So I definitely don't see it replacing traditional gaming. But I mean, I do disagree if he's suggesting it's not going to catch on as an additional outlet, or perhaps a new outlet for people that maybe don't really, understand or want to pay as much for the price of entry, buying it, everything and hooking it all up. So I think it'll catch on and get users right away. I definitely disagree if that's what he's saying.
No, I think he's just saying he doesn't think people are suddenly going to make the jump. I think he probably understands that it's going to happen and it's inevitable. But yeah, he was saying he doesn't think that people are just suddenly going to make the jump.
I don't think it's going to replace gaming, traditional gaming at all, personally, because I wouldn't mind having Stadia and just popping my phone out and playing some Destiny 2 in a spot where maybe I couldn't normally. But I definitely wouldn't go. I'm not going to buy it. You know what I mean? So I think I agree with him. Yeah.
What about you, Chris? What about you?
I think streaming is for a completely different audience. Like when I was a kid, like about a teenager, I was playing Borderlands on Live. And and I actually played Assassin's Creed 2 on Live as well, and I had a really good experience with it. I think this is an option for budget gamers who can't afford the console, can't afford the the proper setup, like you were saying. And I think it's easier for people who have like low end PCs to go on Stadia and play a game. But also, I think it'd be cool because a lot of people watch Let's Plays and don't play the game. But if they're super interested in the game, they want to play it, they can play at that specific point where that Let's Player is at. So, they don't have to replay the whole thing that they've watched already. I think that's going to be a big thing that people are overlooking.
Right. So, yeah, just a little interesting story there.
I want to mention this, too. I didn't even think of this until Chris mentioned, new audience. My sister-in-law, she lives in New York City. And then Time Hop Podcast, David lives in New York City. What about space? If you could plug a little dongle into your TV and grab a controller, I mean, I know that might sound like kind of silly to some of us because that might have room for a console, but like that could be an appealing thing if you don't have a lot of space, but you can just plug something into the back of your TV, instead of having to have a system, on a shelf or I don't know. I just thought of that too.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to some Pokemon news here. With the whole mantra of Pokemon is catch 'em all, right? And there was this interesting thing, and I'm not like a massive Pokemon fan, so I actually just recently learned about this. In that with the new Pokemon Sword and Shield games, you're not going to be able to actually transfer all of the Pokemon into that game. Each game from now on will only have like a select number of Pokemon that you're able to import. So a lot of people were really upset about this. Meaning, it basically means you can't get a full Pokedex or whatever it is. Yep. And so there was a statement issued by Game Freak's Junichi Masuda, just sort of reaffirming what they were saying. In other words, that they're not going to change their minds on it. So let's read this statement here. Quote, thank you to all of our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Shield. I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Sword and Pokemon Sword and Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. Oh, I like that. That's funny. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us on this new journey. So, yeah, it's as if he's saying, we're not going to change our minds on this, but perhaps we'll add some of these Pokemon that you want later in other, future installments. So, like, it's kind of like a solution, right? So it's not all bad. I get why people are upset, but at the same time, you have to think when Game Freak was developing Pokemon for the DS, they probably weren't thinking about 10 years plus in the future of the Switch, right? That's hard to plan for. So yeah, it makes sense that some stuff just isn't going to work, So from that point of view, from like a design point of view, I totally get it. But let me toss it to you, Chris. What do you make of this? Are you upset about this, or do you get it, or what's your take?
I completely get it from the fan base. Like, the whole idea of the game is to catch them all, like you said.
Right.
And it's but at the same time, development might be getting in the way of that. There's so many Pokemon you have to develop for. Yeah, there's so many models that have to be made every single game. And, like, maybe they could include them in future updates and stuff, but there's also Pokemon Go that constantly puts in new Pokemon, like, every year, right? So there's like the site, there's kind of the balance there. But I don't think there's an issue of game balance, because the games themselves are pretty balanced on how the Pokemon are in there. Like, there's never been an issue with that, really. There's been Pokemon tournaments every year or something, and there haven't been issues like that with the games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like it's just it kind of sucks, but like it's something that we have to deal with now, that as there's like 1,000 Pokemon in the game, and you want to avoid crunch, right? So,
well, I mean, yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a lot more complicated than just put them in, just put the Pokemon in.
And it's much easier to put the Pokemon in like a lower res kind of Pokemon game, like in a DS or a 3DS game. But now it's made the jump to HD. It's going to be difficult to put all those Pokemon in,
especially since they're like in that field area too.
Yeah.
So what about you, Josh?
I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, and I understand they could fix it later, but it definitely is puzzling that, with the mantra, gotta catch them all, that they would even arrive at this viewpoint. I'm like, oh, they're upset that we want. I don't understand why this would even happen. Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't just put them all in anyway. But I mean, it's not a deal breaker. It's just, it's confusing why they would arrive at this.
Well, I mean, you have to think, do most people catch them all anyway? Probably not. Most people probably just play through the game and then it's kind of, I guess my point is, like, they have to weigh, like, how...
Yeah, that's true.
How much development time and how much cost and effort and energy on their end versus the amount of people who benefit from it, I guess.
Yeah, I think I've only completed my Pokedex on Crystal and, like, Sapphire, and then after that I would just kind of catch who I wanted.
Right. So, like, that's not to say, don't just do a shitty job because most people don't even experience it anyway. That's not really what I'm saying, but it's got to be more complicated than it seems, or else...
Yeah, and we do live in the age of the internet, so I mean, like, they could easily make Let's Go compatible with it. They could easily have the next game be compatible. I mean, they can update these games so you can send... maybe they'll do something like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe they already have plans for how they're going to handle this, and we're all over here whining because they're not included by default. I mean, this happened with Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Mm-hmm. We were later able, when they released Leaf Green and Fire Red, we were able to, trade Pokemon from Fire Red and Leaf Green into those games. Right. So I mean, that was in the Game Boy Advance era. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, let's point it over to this tariff story. Now, I'm gonna, before even getting into it, this is a little bit technical for me personally. There's a lot of law and stuff that's involved with this story, so I'm going to preface it by saying I'm not very educated with this, but we can still cover the story nonetheless. So I've got this pulled from Polygon. This is from Charlie Hall. Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony say Trump's tariffs on China will hurt the game industry. And it reads, quote, "In an unprecedented display of solidarity, the world's leading video game console manufacturers issued a statement against President Donald Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on consoles manufactured in China. Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony say that the costs will ultimately be passed on to American consumers, and that the proposal would put at risk jobs of more than 220,000 Americans, including hundreds of small businesses. At issue is soon to be finalized list of goods imported from China with tariffs that the Trump administration has tasked the United States Trade Representative with creating. If video game consoles are added to that list, they would cost the major console manufacturers 25% more to import virtually overnight. The statement echoes similar comments from the Game Manufacturers Association, a nonprofit organization that represents more than 1,000 companies in the tabletop games industry. So, let's see. There's a quote here. While we appreciate the administration's efforts to protect the U.S. intellectual property and preserve the U.S. high-tech leadership, the disproportionate harm caused by these tariffs to U.S. consumers and businesses will undermine, not advance, these goals, reads the statement, which is dated June 17th. Accordingly, we respectfully request that the administration remove HTSUS, I don't know what that means, subheading 9504. See, this is what I'm talking about. This gets real technical. 9504.50.00, covering video game consoles from the final list of tariffs and thus refrain from applying tariffs on these products. Okay, like I said, very technical. Bottom line, the point is, putting this extra tariff on this is going to make everything more expensive, and as a result, the American citizens are going to have to. They're the ones who are going to see the cost of that. I don't know, man. Like I said, this is kind of a little bit out of my wheelhouse. But Josh, did you have anything you wanted to say on this?
You're not going to hear me agree with Trump often at all. But devil's advocate, I understand what he's trying to do here. He's basically
what is he trying to do? Because I don't.
What
really
he's trying to
understand
do is like, hey, it's going to cost you more to make shit in China, make it in America. But throwing a fine on there doesn't do that. You know what I mean? And that's with any president that attempts tariffs. Tariffs don't always solve the issue, because what Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft are saying is like, well, I mean, we're just going to keep making them where we're already making them, and then they're just going to cost more. So it doesn't actually solve the issue. It's not going to solve the issue he wants to solve. Right,
and a lot of people complain that video games and consoles are already expensive enough as it is. So think of how that will be, the backlash of that in the long run. Okay, say this goes through, and video games and consoles are 25% more expensive. Or I guess it's consoles is the point. Yeah, consoles are 25% more expensive now. Well, I mean, what do you think the long-term implications of that are? A lot of companies, when they put out a console, they sell it at either break even or a loss, and so what they rely on software attachment, to make their money back. Well, is there going to be some weird thing they do with software then to encourage people to buy them more?
They could increase the price of games across the board by a small percentage.
I think that needs to happen anyway, but that's aside from this tariff thing. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want them to. I
obviously,
understand. Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, instead of increasing the price of consoles as a whole, they might just increase the price of everything to offset it. So it could hurt even more than it could, because from an advertising standpoint, it would look better. If games are all $80 now, but the consoles aren't way more money. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know that. I don't know.
We don't know how it's going to work, but
I don't know how that would work. But
the way it should be done is he offers incentives to manufacture here, instead of just if you don't build it here, I'm going to fine you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is I think the whole reason they do it in China is because it's really affordable for them there. So what if they do it here? Okay, well, that still is going to make it more expensive, you would think, right? Because that's the whole point of them going to China in the first place, is that they can get parts for cheap there.
Well,
I assume.
Labor. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that. So I don't know. Let's toss it to Chris. What do you think?
I'm kind of like the British Canadian here, but I think it's going to affect gaming overall. I think prices are going to increase, and it's just once again a sign of the times that it might switch to streaming and digital from here on in.
Oh, that's a good point.
But that's a great point.
Yeah, it's just bad timing, because the next generation is coming. It's probably going to increase the price of these consoles, and they say in this article, from Polygon, was it?
Yeah,
I think it was Polygon. They say that this is likely going to lead to less console sales. So I don't know if this is going to be a big thing.
Which is definitely not what we want. We don't want fewer console sales, right? So or the manufacturers don't, right? So
and it can really hurt day one adopters, and that's really important, because if you buy the system day one, they've kind of got you. Okay, you are now in Sony's ecosystem, or Microsoft's ecosystem, or Nintendo's ecosystem for the generation, essentially. But if you decide not to buy that system, that really hurts things. So this could give, like Chris said, this could give Stadia a really huge jump, because hey, this is $100, and it's Google, so they could afford to give that thing away essentially. You know what I mean? Without it even being a thing. So yeah, that's a really good point. This could really
and a lot of the
Stadia
money,
an edge.
A lot of the money actually also comes from the controller sales, add-ons like cables and things like that. And because the consoles are higher priced, people are going to be less likely to buy an extra controller or an extra game or something.
Yeah, and like Joseph pointed out, they already sell them at a loss. Nintendo's the only company that, other than the Wii U, they've sold all their systems at a profit. But Microsoft and Sony are already taking a hit on their systems to begin with.
Well, presumably, who knows what the prices of the next-gen systems are going to be.
That's true, yeah. In the past, though, yeah, you were right. Yeah. They have always sold them at a loss, especially the PS3 because of the Blu-ray technology. But yeah, being new. But yeah, they already sell them at a loss.
What is the maximum you'd pay for a day one PS5 500. Or an Xbox, the next Xbox Scorpio?
Anything more than 500, I'll wait. It's gonna go down in price.
Yeah. I'd say for me, just because like it's part of my job, kind of a thing. I pretty much have to have one. I don't know. I mean, obviously.
Well, okay. Rephrase it then. What's the most you would be happy paying? I mean, obviously free is. You know, we don't like free, but like, what's the
I would say if it's more than $400, I would not be happy. But I would, if it's 600, I would buy anything more than 600. I probably wouldn't even buy it, at least not at launch. Yeah,
the
and
max
if it's 600, it better have like extra features and stuff.
$5.99.
Yeah,
$5.99 US. Go kill some giant enemy crabs.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. Like I said, a lot of that with the technical jargon kind of goes over my head, but it makes sense, and it's just a complicated situation.
We might not fully understand it, but it's something that could definitely affect everyone. Holiday 2020 for sure.
Absolutely. Cool. So on the topic of weird, sort of controversial things, well, this isn't really controversial. I guess it's just bad. The PS Plus games for July were announced, and let's see what PES 2019, Pro Evolution Soccer, and Horizon Chase Turbo. Those are your games. That's it.
I'm stealing Chris's line.
I just think, like, man, PES, okay, whatever. Like, I'm sure there's an audience for that. But the thing is, if you like PES, you probably already have PES.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's because it's like niche. I think it's a little, well, maybe not. It's niche in the United States, I think. And other countries and other territories, probably not. And then you've got Horizon Chase Turbo, which I guess is like a racing kind of game. Let's see, it says Horizon Chase Turbo is a standalone homage to classic 16-bit racers that defined a generation of high-speed, frenetic arcade fun.
Yeah.
The game ignites an instant blast of nostalgia with a catchy contemporary chiptune music.
They're too similar. They're both sporty, you know? Yeah. Like, you're either going to be completely interested or not at all.
Yeah. So
like we were talking about last week with Sousa, like those are two genres that like most people aren't associated with, you know, sports and racing games.
Yeah, exactly. So that's funny. Yeah.
I mean, what were they thinking? This isn't a good.
I would love to like find out more information. I think next time I go to like a convention, I'm gonna do some digging about this because like. Clearly, PlayStation and Sony, there's something going on, or like there's some sort of hiccup. There's something going on there because you would think like, whatever Horizon Zero Dawn, Little Big like main games that people really want to see. You know, God of War, make it free on PlayStation Plus. Like, there's got to be something going on there.
I could think of all kinds of cheaper games I'd rather play than these two.
Killzone Shadowfall.
Yeah, like Uncharted.
It still hasn't been added. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I know.
I mean, shit, like Has-Been Heroes. You know, like that's not even like that great of a game. You know what I mean? But I'm saying like, and it's cheap, but like it's got more widespread appeal.
I think what it is it has to do with the developer and publisher of the game in that it's really risky for them. On one hand, I think how it works is Sony just gives them a lump sum of just like, here's $1 bajillion, however much it is, and to have your game free on PlayStation Plus. Cool. Well, if they sell fewer, if they sell fewer copies than what's equal to the amount of money that was given to them, cool, it worked out for the company. But if they sell more than that, then it's like, oh shit, we should have probably not done this deal and just sold. But then you don't know because the game got traction through PlayStation Plus anyway. Would they have sold that many copies? It's like a risk because, they just have that lump sum, I think is how it
I don't know how it works on Plus. I don't know fully how it works with Gold, but it's been kind of implied and suggested that it being added to your library and quote-unquote purchased is what triggers the transaction between, Microsoft and the publisher.
Oh,
and
that's
why
not
the
how
games aren't just added automatically.
That's not... Oh, I haven't heard... I heard that they get a lump sum. I don't know.
I wish we knew, for sure.
That's
what
I'm saying.
Would just say.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm going to do some digging on this because I would love to find out how that works. Because
you know what else I would like to is for me give me the option to opt out and go, I don't want either one of these. I want a $5 gift card. Just give me no, I'm serious, $3 of each currency. Yeah. I would rather have that than both of these games.
Yeah. So those are pretty bad. Most people are just not. Yeah. So
and this also comes at a bad time too because they just stopped doing the PS3 and Vita games a couple months ago too.
So there's this question of just the value proposition and all that. I mean, we've been talking about that for months. And then we've got games with gold games, and these are a little bit better. Inside, which is fantastic from was it Playdead?
Yeah.
Hold on, is it Playdead Studios? Here, Inside. Let me look this up. Sorry,
yeah,
this is annoying.
Yeah.
Playdead?
It is.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh man, I liked it more than Limbo, honestly. Just that ending.
Yeah, and Limbo was great, but Inside, you're right. Inside's so good.
So that's an Xbox One game that's free from July 1 to July 31. And then after that, Big Crown Showdown, never heard of it, kind of looks like Castle Crashers. That's free from July 16th to August 15th. That's also an Xbox One game. And then the two 360 games that work through backwards compatibility are Castlevania. Symphony of the Night. Holy moly, that's a good one. It's a lot better than Bloodstained. I mean, I think it is. I don't know. You argue with me if you want. Yeah, so that's free July 1 through July 15th. And then Meet the Robinsons, based on the... okay, July 16th through 31. Yeah,
that one's really kind of a stinker unless you're into getting achievements from what I've read online. I have no interest in it, but
I don't think it's a stinker. It's way more interesting than the games that they include on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. I've mentioned this before. Xbox has way more variety because they have more games. And
and Inside is fantastic, man.
Yeah, here's the thing: is PlayStation. They're in it's a sign of weakness to me. Them having only 2 games and Xbox having 4. Get your shit together, Sony.
So for me, the two standouts are Inside and Symphony of the Night. Which, man, if you haven't played Symphony of the Night, holy moly! I mean that's what spawned Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I mean, it's a spiritual successor to that game.
This may be controversial, but I think it's better than Super Metroid, and it was inspired by Super Metroid. But it's just that fucking good.
I'm with you on that. I think. I don't know. I'd have to go back and play them both again, but. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
This game and Super Metroid are what led to the Metroidvania genre as a whole. So if you have any interest in Shovel Knight and Hollow Knight and any game like that, and you haven't played Symphony of the Night or Super Metroid for that matter, play them both because they're fucking great games.
Right. I mean, not much else to say there. It's just been kind of disappointing with the PS Plus games, and Xbox I think has been doing a little bit better just in terms of sheer variety, but also those games are noticeably better, I think. So
I own Inside and Symphony of the Night, and I'm still more excited about this month on Gold than Plus. It's just I'm excited for people to get to play Inside and Symphony of the Night because those games are just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this though, Horizon Chase Turbo, and that's what it's called. I've heard good things about that game.
Yeah.
So
it's
not a stinker. I don't think.
No. It's just
it's not as interesting as it could be.
Yeah, no. I don't think people are clamoring for that. So yeah. All right. A couple more news stories, and then we'll talk about what we've been playing. So Summer Games Done Quick 2019 has just raised a record-shattering $3 million for charity. So that's really cool. I've just got an article pulled here. This is from Entertainium from Eduardo Rebocas. Hope I said that right. Quote, Games Done Quick has just beat their all-time record early this morning when Summer Games Done Quick 2019 destroyed the $3 million mark during their final run and impeccable all-quest playthrough of Chrono Trigger. Very good game, by the way, Chrono Trigger. The crowd was at their feet and screaming as the number got closer and closer. When the counter turned to 3 million, the marathon room blew up in excitement just as the run was done, finishing off the LYFO and watching Chrono Trigger's long credits sequence. The final donation amount was $3,005,113, nearly $600,000 over the previous record of $2,425,790 set by Awesome Games Done Quick last January. Summer Games Done Quick 2019 was held at Bloomington, Minnesota, and took place over a week from June 23rd till the early hours of June 30th. Practically all the donation incentives were met during the marathon, which included an impressive display of programming at the TAS bot, or Tool Assisted Bot, tour through Celeste in less than an hour. Holy shit.
That's impressive.
Among other inclusions to the schedule and minor decisions during runs, like the name of characters in Pokémon, the paths runners could take during their particular games, like the infamous Super Metroid Save or Kill the Animals incentive, which has become a staple of GDQ over the years. Okay, so I'll just stop it there. Congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome, man. $3 million for charity. Fuck yeah. And I think it's a cool way to sort of introduce people to these games, because a lot of these, Chrono Triggers and even like Metroid, like, people may not, newer gamers may not be into those. And I think seeing those games played through really quickly is like maybe more appealing, because they can sort of take in the whole game in a short amount of time. It's not as big of a time commitment to get what the games are. So yeah.
It's also awesome. Really, I don't know, it's like, if you haven't like seen a speed run, it's so fucking cool to see somebody just break a game and just do what they need to do. It's just, especially like, I can't speak too much on speed running, but I have seen Super Metroid and like, Symphony of the Night. I've seen like Metroidvania games just completely broken, and it's so cool to watch.
I've seen some nasty Dark Souls speed runs. Nasty. Like, just disgusting. And as a person who, like, I know that game in and out, like, I totally can understand what they're doing in these speed runs, and it's just like, dude, the amount of time it must have taken, like, because there's like a little bit of RNG that goes with it. Mm-hmm. Oh man, some of these speed runs are just
that's Resident what makes it so fun to watch for people.
Yeah.
The RNG, yeah,
because like in like RE4 and other games that have kind of a smart difficulty, if you fail something and you like, as you do better or worse, the game will change. So yeah, they'll fail certain like QTEs to. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, look up. Yeah, anyone listening, look up RE4 speedruns too. They're really cool.
Yeah, or Dark Souls. There's a really good Dark Souls speedrun in like 34 minutes or something, which is just absurd.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't even beat that game. So,
Chris, do you have a favorite speedrun you like?
I haven't really watched too many speedruns, to be honest. But I find it fascinating whenever they speedrun Wind Waker. Like, I've never played that game before. But the way that they go through the sea, like, without even going on a ship, and they just go, like, they do, like, this roll into the water that, like, is, like, a big exploit. And they skip from one island to the other.
I haven't seen that.
in, like, ridiculous time. It's so fun to watch.
There's Wind Waker speedruns are really cool to watch.
Yeah,
also, I'm going to make everyone angry, but that's the best Zelda game besides Breath of the Wild.
I am in agreement with that.
That game is so fucking good. It better come to the Switch soon.
I think it will. All right, final story, and then we'll talk about what we've been playing. Nintendo doubles down on censorship stance, saying it, quote, inhibits, end quote, the industry. And this is from Stephen Rollins over at Nintendo Enthusiast. It reads, quote, Sony has faced backlash lately over policy changes regarding censorship. Several games have had their content altered to conform to these guidelines. Nintendo, however, has been relaxing its policies on this in recent years. Thanks to this, the unaltered versions have often found a home on the Switch. Nintendo recently reaffirmed this policy during the annual general meeting of shareholders. Let's find their quote. Let's see here. Here's a question that was given to them. About content regulation on other platforms, there are cases of restrictions applied independently of CERO and other third-party organizations. What does Nintendo do? Nintendo says, and this is from Shuntaro Furukawa. quote, Nintendo, as do third parties and their software, applies for an objective rating from third-party organizations prior to release. If platform-holding companies choose arbitrarily, the diversity and fairness in game software would be significantly inhibited. We provide parental controls that can be used to apply limits. Man, I think Nintendo hit the nail on the head right there. Fucking be a parent. How about that? Like, you don't want your kid looking at tits and cutting people's heads off or whatever. Fair enough, but get in there and get. Why is your 10-year-old playing that? Like, and also there's a fair line. Like that rape game that was on Steam that got taken down.
Yeah.
Clearly that's bad. That's the line right there. Clearly, or like the school shooting game. Clearly that's bad. But like something like L.A. Noire or anything, Gears of War, the violent, or anything with sex, like Grand Theft Auto, just don't let your kid play the game.
That's like I'm sure this has happened to you guys too, but have you ever been in a movie like Deadpool or Deadpool 2 or something and you see parents get up and leave angrily with kids? I always love that.
Oh yeah, like they didn't do
did you research nothing about this fucking movie?
Yeah. So like and it's so fascinating. I mean, if you think back to Nintendo, the Nintendo days with like Mortal Kombat or
Night Trap.
I mean, Night Trap will never be on Nintendo, and then here we are,
Bam, it's on the Switch.
It's just, and it's so I mean, and of course you've heard all these. There are these, Japanese games, anime games that are all censored out the ass on PlayStation. Notably, there was Devil May Cry. I know that's not an anime game, but the Devil May Cry butt, and and from Sony, censoring that, and it wasn't censored on PC or Xbox. So yeah, I mean, I think Sony again is kind of dropping the ball.
The only time
here.
I agree with Sony on this is there are some games. I don't know a lot about this, so if you guys know more, please chime in and correct me. But there are some games from what I've read that may have nudity or suggestive content where the characters appear to be underage.
Yeah.
Those ones I agree with Sony on, but you don't need to have an across the board, ruling.
That gets tough.
Everything.
I think that gets tough because like, especially with the art style of a lot of those anime games, like it's like hard to tell. Like it's not like the this is stupid, but it's not like all those characters have an ID on them where you can see how old they're supposed to be.
Right, I see what you're saying. They might look younger, but they're not, or whatever.
But they're not, or like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point.
But Sony being like across the board, there shall be no butts in Devil May Cry. Like, come on.
I don't know. Yeah, and it's just interesting and fascinating to see that Nintendo of all companies are just like, it's fine. What was their quote? They say that the diversity and fairness in game software would be significantly inhibited if they went in here. Yeah, and I think underage, like rape, the school shooting, like this kind of thing, like
I feel like they'd probably block like stuff like that though.
Yeah, that's obvious shit. Just take it off.
Or any like hate, like a game where you hate gay, where you kill gay people. Like it where it's like it's different. Like if there's a gay character in Grand Theft Auto and you happen to kill them, that's way different than, hey, this is the gay killing game. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like I think
you're saying there's a line, and Sony having kind of this across the board ruling doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like I think the line is I think it's pretty clear. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that's interesting. So that's it for the news. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
want to
Chris.
say something. Sorry. So yeah, like it's kind of interesting to see this from Nintendo because they're kind of trying to get away from that brand image of like, oh, this is a family console.
Yeah.
Oh, we're a toy. Like when the NES came out, they were thinking, oh, this is just a toy for the kids. Just let them play their Nintendo. So,
yeah, exactly.
And it's like the Switch. It's like they finally realized, like, hey, we grew up and we like playing games. Can we please give you money? Like.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't think Sony has bad intentions with this. Like, clearly they're trying to protect, whatever. Like, they're trying to keep the integrity of the company. I totally get it.
They're not trying to inhibit the industry.
But the problem is people are just going over and buying the games on Switch, and then they're losing money. So it's just like, you kind of got to be smart with it from a business point of view. So
I'm wondering if it's because PlayStation is Sony's best brand right now, and they want to protect that at all costs.
I don't get it. I mean, I get what you're saying, but and Nintendo's probably... I mean, Nintendo's doing really well. Nintendo's a reputable brand. Xbox is probably one of Microsoft's best brands. Like, I don't know. I would love to hear more about that.
It's also, we were talking about, like, it's interesting from Nintendo and giving examples. Even just, like, Resident Evil 4, in Japan, it was censored. You know, like...
Right.
With the cutting off the head stuff. So, like, I mean, even in, like... I mean, I guess that's not recently. That's 2004. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, they were pretty consistent on even censoring locally. And now, they're, like you said, now they're kind of laxed up a little bit. So it is very interesting to see.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, so that's it for the news. Let's take a quick break and talk about what we've been playing. Okay, everybody, we are back. Let's talk about some games we've been playing, shall we?
I love the video games.
I have played one of their video games before. So obviously the big one for this week, Super Mario Maker 2 came out, so Josh and I will talk about that. But I want to dive into Bloodstained Ritual of the Night a little bit more.
Yes.
Because we briefly touched on that last week, and we had to wrap the show a little bit, and I don't think we gave it enough time. Also, I hadn't played that much of it, I don't think I had played it at all, actually.
I need to know if I should buy it, because I love Symphony of the Night, and I have not played Bloodstained.
Yeah, that's right, because I didn't have my copy yet, and it's coming back to me. Chris, you had an early copy, didn't you? Because
we got a review code from 505 Games, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just touch on a couple things, and then we'll jump into that. So, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. It's a game that was kickstarted, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's supposed to be a Symphony of the Night spiritual successor made by remind me of his name, Chris. I always forget his name. Igarashi. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's basically Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
It's just like Mighty Number 9, except for, like, you know, hopefully better. But yeah, same thing. The creator wanted to make more and couldn't. So
right, with Mega Man and exactly. So so it finally came out after all these years, and I am playing on the Switch version, and Chris is playing on the PS4 version. The Switch version is significantly, from a technical point of view, not as great as the PS4 version. Just from a resolution point of view, from a technical point of view, just, you know, frame drops, everything just kind of looks muddy. So that's...
Didn't they try saying at E3 it was because the systems were, like, encased, and so they were overheated a little bit?
I don't know. I that could be. I didn't hear that, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm just wanting to know if it runs, like, not good. You know, obviously your Switch isn't encased in a enclosure. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. At the demo stations at E3.
Yeah, they were saying that was why it was running poorly, is because the systems are hot and they can't.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you're saying. I don't know if that might be. I mean, you know what I think it was too is I think maybe it ran worse at E3 and they have improved it. So anyway, looking at it from just what it is, technical issues aside, I think it's fine. I really don't love it, honestly, and I was really excited about it. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. I love the DS Castlevania games so much. Dawn of Sorrow on the DS is like one of my favorite games of all time.
It's fucking amazing.
It is so good, and it's got like really cool touchscreen implementations where you have to like draw this like a symbol on the touchscreen to kill the bosses and stuff. It's really cool. And yeah, with this, I don't know if it's just an issue of that I'm not enjoying it as much because of all the technical stuff going on. I mean, like, it's to the point where like it's hard to even attack enemies. Like,
wow, it must be the Switch version, because honestly, with the PS4, like, there's some technical hiccups here and there, but it runs smooth with the gameplay. Like, I love how it feels. I like the different weapons that you can get, and the different abilities you receive from the beasts you slay. It's like Mega Man, I guess. You take on the abilities of the beasts you get, and you can get all kinds of different power-ups and stuff as well. I love that mechanic, and basically you move through the game by getting abilities from the bosses. But
it's like random,
example,
right?
You can move. No, there's specific parts in the game, like like a tower or something, where you defeat a dragon boss or something that is called the Twin Dragons. And you get this certain ability where you can move things around or use flames to get to one place to another.
You finished it, right? You've completed it?
I technically finished it, but I had the worst ending. But right now, I'm just like running around the castle trying to find 2 specific abilities, and it's a little frustrating. But
and when you do that though, will you get the better ending, or are you locked into this bad ending?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you have to do certain things like during the boss to get the better ending.
Yeah.
I was just surprised because I was like, okay, I'm facing Geeble already. Oh. Okay, I got the worst ending possible. Great.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it was easy.
One thing worth noting too is I think like 1.0 of this game or 1.1 or 1.01 there was an issue on PS4 only, I think, where players were having to restart the game because after getting up to a certain point, all these chests that contained items you needed to progress into the game would open, but the items would not be in there, so you couldn't progress in the game. I guess you didn't run into that problem, but a lot of people were running into that. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like Chris is really hot on the game. I am not. Honestly, like, I don't like the art style, and I looked at I saw footage of it on PS4, and I still don't really like the art style. So it's not like an issue of just I don't like that it's muddy looking, you know.
I do like the art style to a T, to a certain extent. Actually, not to a T, to a certain extent. But yeah, I do agree with some of the animations are a bit muddy.
Oh yeah, and it's so weird too.
Yeah,
the animations, like some of them are really good, and then others are. It's like inconsistent. Like it's jarring, you know. Very weird.
Well, it's had multiple developers on the game. It had
that's
joining in and other developers. So I'm like, maybe that's the reason why it felt inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at art right now for Castlevania Symphony of the Night just to make sure my mind isn't like misremembering. And man, this art is so beautiful. And I know that, doing pixel art is expensive and basically out of the question because it's just so hard to do, and so that's why they opt for this 2.5D thing. I totally get that. But just from like an art direction point of view, just Google, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You'll see what I mean. I mean, just the tone of it compared to Bloodstained. I don't know what the deal is. I think I can't
stress enough how fucking great Symphony of the Night is. Like that game is like damn near flawless. It's like so good.
And so I have it on my Vita, and I played it recently just to make sure I'm not crazy. And just the movement feels better in Symphony of the Night, I think. And like when an attack connects with an enemy, it just like feels better. You know, like a game feel, the way it feels.
Yeah,
really
I get
important.
Yeah, the response isn't as good as
exactly. Yeah, and Bloodstained, I feel like it's hard for me to even connect an attack with an enemy, and I don't know if that's a technical problem or if it's just the way the game is designed, or if I'm so used to Symphony of the Night and I love it so much that it's like skewing my view of this. But when you advertise it as basically it's Symphony of the Night, and it most certainly is, like it feels a lot like Symphony of the Night, but just these little noticeable things, you know, like the combat and the art style, and I don't, man, it's
that was
tough.
something that Kotaku focused on in the review, which was this game can be good on its own merits, but one thing they stressed is this is no Symphony of the Night, and some people were like, well, it's not supposed to be. Well, no, it was. That was that was the way it was sold.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like if Igarashi was not involved in this project and this game just came out on its own and they never mentioned Symphony of the Night once at all, maybe it would have done better. I don't know. I mean, it still is really clearly Symphony of the Night. I don't know.
This is sold as like a marketed and kickstarted. The Kickstarter marketing is pretty much like, let's make a new Symphony of the Night game.
Exactly. You know? And so you run into this problem of that. Do you just make Symphony of the Night exactly how it is? That's not a new game at that point. Like well, you have to change it. Well, then any changes, it's still getting compared to Symphony of the Night. It's such a tough thing. And so, like, from the developer's point of view...
It's a matter of expectations for people. Like, for me,
I
have never played the games before. And the game, by itself, I think is great. I've learned a few technical hiccups. So yeah,
That's a
I've been
good point.
enjoying my time with the game.
That's a good point.
So
That
I
you've
don't
never
think
played.
Castlevania fans would be as happy as me playing this.
So I'm curious to see how you feel about Symphony of the Night, because Joseph, what if Chris plays Symphony of the Night and he's like, "Wow, this is better," or what if he's like,
I don't know. Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
I think you need to play it. I think get that Rondo of Blood collection, or not Rondo, whatever.
It comes with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that collection called? I forget. And you know what I'm talking about, the double pack.
Requiem. Yeah.
Requiem. Yeah. Get that and play through Symphony of the Night and tell me what you think, because I'm very curious to see how that would work from flipped around. Anyway, I actually quit playing. I'm not playing this until it gets fixed because I want to give it a fair shot.
I think you should give the
issues I'm having, or on Switch. Yeah, I want to make sure that those issues I'm having aren't just like technical problems, or if it's how the game is designed. So I'm gonna wait on that. But yeah, for me, I'm not hot on it. Keep in mind, I'm playing the Switch version. Chris really likes Bloodstained, but he is playing on the PS4 version, and also he's never played Symphony of the Night, so that matters, I guess. So, Josh, why don't we talk about Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Maker 2? Have you gotten a chance to put some time into it?
Yeah, got a couple hours into it, so I mean, not completely thorough, but enough of it to have initial impressions.
Cool. What have you done so far, mostly?
I have done some building. I've played some user-created content courses. I played some of the story mode, so I've done a sampling of kind of the three main things.
Yeah, man, the story mode's really cool. I think
the story mode is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's not just here a bunch of levels. It's like, play these levels and get money so you can upgrade the castle. Like, it's not an RPG really, but
it's so cool. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's just, and they didn't have to do this. Like, I mean, they didn't before.
Right. Yeah. The first Mario Maker
anyway,
didn't
and
have
it's so cool. And the humor is so great because the courses are created by that you're playing in there. They're kind of like bounties. Like, this person created a course and they'll pay you money to complete it. But like, they're not real people. Of course, they're from people Nintendo made up in the game. So like, it'll have little descriptions, and I don't know, they're just funny.
Yeah, man, and those levels are really good. And I jumped into like trying to create my own level just right off the bat without doing the story mode, and I'm just like, oh man, I forget how to do all this. And
yeah, it's a good way to kind of remind you like what you can do.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of new stuff, so I'm just like, God, I don't really remember. And then so I played some online level, like levels that real people have created. Dude, some of them are absurd. Like, I played this one last night. I was stuck on it for probably about 40 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. And the whole level, you know how they've got this new the new on-off switch thing that like everybody's using it, where you hit the button and then it'll make a group of blocks disappear or reappear depending on if you hit it on.
Yeah, I've seen that used in really cool ways. In
yeah. So like this one I played, the whole level was laid out completely easy to understand. The person had like an arrow pointing to which blocks you needed to hit at the exact point, so like you knew what you needed to do. But he added this you have to beat the level in 20 seconds exactly. And so you have to be so pinpoint accurate with your jumps. And there's this section with the conveyor belt that goes backwards, and you have to like time it perfectly. And then a switch, a switch will initiate it, and it'll shoot you forward, and you have to get that perfectly to get through the end. And it's just some really really cool things. I did another one that was like timing based, where this, I don't know, mechanism was like chasing Mario. I don't even remember what it was. And you have to do these jumps perfectly. And the way it was designed was like, if you're like even just a split second off, you'll miss one of the star power-ups that give you invulnerability. Yeah. And then you can't complete the level. So like, you have to be like really, really accurate with those. So like, those are fun and they're really rewarding to beat, but they're kind of frustrating.
And that's kind of the spirit of this game, I think, is there's a great variety. Like, do you want just like, wow, that's really neat, I never thought of that, and it's not necessarily difficult, or oh, this needs to be done in an exact way. Like all the different flavors of a Mario level are present in the community, and I think to an extent in the story mode so far too, and I like that.
Yeah, and I think with the install base the Switch has, as opposed to the Wii U, I think we'll see this game have a really long tail, and I think we'll get more support for it than we did the Wii U version. I think everything's just gonna be more, and I think better with this.
And the Wii, even like the Wii U version blew up on Twitch, so I can't even imagine how this game's gonna be.
Yeah, but man, I'm working on a course right now, and it's so funny because like I'll work on the course and then I'll go play some online courses and then be like, oh, that's a
good way to do it. Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's a cool implementation. I might want to try that, and then I'll jump back into my level and be like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna rework this whole section. So it'll take me probably a month to make this level that somebody will beat in 5 seconds. You know. So it's just so funny, and I was playing with Kennedy, and she made this level, and she was like...
I was going to say, you can do a co-op building, and that's really fun, too.
Oh, I haven't tried that. Have you done that?
Yeah, my wife and I were doing the...
cool.
We were doing... and you can do it in the same system, too. I mean, we bought 2 copies just because, but, like, you can like, I jumped into her game with a second Joy-Con, and I'm adding stuff, too. And, like, I don't know, it's really fun. It's not perfect. There's times I might have to wait for her to do something before I can continue doing what I'm doing. But, like, it works as well as it could, and it's still fun and not frustrating.
Right.
You know? It's enjoyable. I would recommend people try that, because it's fun, and, like, it adds a new element, because instead of, like, oh, you should do this, you could just do that. Right. You know? Like, I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, so overall impressions, I've only put, like, a few hours into the game. I'm so excited that I have it. It's one of those games that you can just pick up, work on a level for 15-20 minutes, put down. It's just like such a perfect Switch game. And
I only have one complaint so far, and that's any listeners or Joseph, please correct me if I'm wrong. It could be me. I tried playing it in handheld mode, and it was forcing me to use the touchscreen.
Yeah.
And I don't like that because no shit, there's obviously a way to do it with just a controller because I'm not touching my TV.
Right. Yeah.
So like, just let me have that option because I don't like touching my Switch's touchscreen unless I have to. And for this, there's no reason to force it.
Yeah. So I think that is forced. I think what you can do is either disconnect the Joy-Con from it and make it do it that basically if you're in handheld mode. As opposed to tabletop mode. Remember, tabletop mode where you can use a controller. I think you can do it that way. We'll have to check, but you can use controllers on the screen if you're connected to the TV.
So I wish that maybe they'll patch it. I don't know. That's my only complaint, and that's a very small complaint.
Right.
It's not that the controls are bad with touchscreen. That's not my preference. But like they work well either way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was in the first game. I don't remember. It's been a little while. So if it has, then maybe I don't know. But I like that. I was having trouble in one of the Ghost House levels because fuck those levels. I've always hated them because they stress me out.
Yeah.
But Luigi popped up and was like, "What's up, man? Do you want some help? I could give you some parts." And you could just add stuff to the level. And you know what I did? I added some bricks underneath one of the doors I couldn't get to because I was just done and wanted to move on. And like, it's not forced. You don't have to. But like that's cool. A really cool addition.
I didn't even notice. I saw that pop up, and I didn't even click on it. So what you're saying is you can like modify the level at your will?
Yes. Yeah, you can hit the minus button. You can hit the minus button. You can modify the level. Now, not like it's not completely like open and unrestricted. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't look too much. I was just like, I want to add some bricks so I can open this door.
Does it dock the amount of money you get at the end of it? Because the whole point is to like get cash to.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
Okay.
Honestly,
we'll have to look into that.
With that level.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool because from 2 reasons. One, I'm stuck. I want to get past this part. That's cool. And I thought at first when it popped up, I thought, oh, Luigi's going to offer to beat this for me. But no, like Luigi's like, hey, I got some parts. That's cool.
And it goes with the theme of the game of building. So
Yeah. And then also it's cool because like even beyond being stuck, what if you're like, you know what? While this is open, I'm going to fuck around a little bit. I don't know. It's really cool. Like you said, it goes with the theme. So
yeah.
Really
overall impressions, I'm really pleased with it. I'm so excited to play more user-created levels and make some levels myself. And I think we'll be talking about this game a lot. So
it's great.
Stay tuned for that. Cool. Let me toss it back over to Chris to see what else you've been playing.
Yeah. So because I've been playing Crash Team Racing, I want to get more of a feel of what the game's like. What the original games are like. I played Crash Bandicoot and I finished it.
So this was part of the Insane trilogy, right?
Yes. I really enjoyed my time with it. It's challenging, it's beautiful, and I actually enjoyed the challenge this time than I did previously. I don't know
They've
what it
patched
is.
it
What
since, I
clicked
just wanna
inside
let
of
you
me?
know.
Yeah,
The hit detection was off when it launched. Like, it wasn't.
That's
great.
probably
They
what
fixed
annoyed
it.
me, because like for me the jumping felt really odd.
Yeah, it was off. I was one of the few people that was arguing against people that were like, I grew up with these games are just hard. No, I did too, and like the hit detection was off. I even busted out
It
my
was
PS1
much easier.
just to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it was much
they
easier
fixed
this
it.
time. I enjoyed it way more than I did.
And will you be jumping into Crash 2 now, or are you going to wait?
I might
do,
be.
Chris,
I'm
please.
going to wait for a bit. I'm going to play some other games, and I'm going to be jumping right back into it. Probably after playing A Plague Tale, because I probably want something a bit more fun and, a bit more kind-hearted.
Lighthearted.
A bit lighter, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Crash 2 is my favorite, so I'm really looking forward to you hopefully playing that. It's really good.
Yeah,
I'm
I like all
partial.
three, but
I'm partial to Crash 3 Warped, so maybe Chris will
Right.
get to that one day.
And,
Cool. Yeah. Go ahead. What else are you playing?
Yeah. What else I've been playing? I've recently got, and this is ridiculous. My friend works at Walmart, and he said, "Hey, they're going to be selling off some TVs that are on display. Are you interested?" And then I realized I got a 55 4K TV for $75. That's
Holy
$50
absurd.
American.
That's
So,
absurd.
yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. I think it's $100 American, but still ridiculous. And I've been playing some games on it, like Kingdom Hearts 3, just to see what HDR looks like, and it's absolutely
Can you tell?
stunning.
Is it noticeably different?
Oh yes, yeah. There's a big difference, and they got this Samsung TV where like it upscales 1080p images to 4K. It has like this inside kind of mechanism that does that, and it looks beautiful, like what you put
Cool.
on it. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a deal. Congratulations on that.
yeah, it's amazing. It's a bit ridiculous in my room because it's small, my room, and then there's this big TV in the middle of it. So, but
Well,
other
you'll
than
probably
that,
have it for a
it's
while,
awesome.
and it may end up in your living room at some point
Yeah,
or something like
but
that.
Kevin
so-
Butler, right? Like he said,
Yeah.
you might be you're a true gamer when you have a huge TV in a small room.
Right. Awesome. So, yeah, we need to start wrapping it here. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, Chris, before we say goodbye for the day?
Is there anything you want to talk about, Josh, with Crash Team Racing? Because, to be honest, I've been enjoying it way more than I did before. Like, I'm just enjoying the visuals of the game. I'm getting the boost system way more than I used to. And
It's
it
definitely
feels way
rewarding.
faster than previous like kart racing games I've played.
yeah, and that's
you know,
the thing I like about it a lot
it's up
is
there now.
it's got depth. Like
Yeah.
it's different than Mario Kart, and it's kind of like it rewards you getting really invested in the depth of it.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in investment between like the person getting second place and the person getting first place for playing online. They had to do a lot more to get between second. You know what I mean? To get that,
Yeah.
it rewards that. And once you get the boosting down and the secrets and the levels, yeah, it's a great game. I'm really enjoying it so far myself as well.
And at some point, we're going to be doing a dedicated review of it. I got a review code for it for Active Quest, so we'll be doing that.
Yeah, that'd be really fun to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I might try it out too so I can jump in on that because I played the original back 20 years ago, however long, and I really enjoyed it, but kart racers aren't my thing, so I'm not like the most qualified to play through it in depth, but I can at least maybe touch on it.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, and then quickly I just wanted to touch on that I finished Cadence of Hyrule, the Crypt of the Necrodance Zelda spin-off. Really cool game, man. Really, really interesting. I didn't know I needed a game like that when it came out. It's Zelda, man. Like I feel like I know we touched on this before, but it feels like a Zelda game, just with a little bit of rhythm in there. Really interesting, like sort of roguelike mechanics. Man, I really, really recommend it. Obviously, the soundtrack is fantastic. The final boss was kind of annoying. That was like the only like lull I felt like where I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to get over this. Come on. But overall, man, that game is fantastic. I really
And the
really
price is
recommend
so
it.
great. It's like $25
Yeah,
in America.
yeah,
like
exactly.
that's such a great price.
Yeah. So, all right, that's what we've been playing. One thing too, just a quick little housekeeping thing. So what we're going to be doing now, and we decided this recently, we're going to be inquiring for you or listener questions on the show. So how it's going to work is we record on Sundays. Today's Sunday. And what we're going to do is on Fridays, we're going to tweet, hey, this is our episode, in this case, we'll start at episode 28. Episode 28 thread, leave us any comments and we'll read them on the show. So provided they're not, offensive or, obviously don't be a dick. And
one rule.
Yeah, and we'll start reading them on the show. That way we can get some interaction with the audience here. It's awesome to be able to talk on the show here with you guys, but it's even more awesome to share it with more people. And we've got some really good feedback from some of our listeners, so it's been awesome. So yeah, just look out for every Friday. We'll have a thread going for that next week's episode, and maybe you can get your question or comment or whatever read on the show. So just look out for that. And like I said, we'll start doing that next week. So yeah, cool. That's been episode 27. Anybody have any closing thoughts before we say goodbye for the day?
One more quick housekeeping thing. If anybody is liked our Instagram post, June was crazy, so we'll start doing those again too. I just didn't get a chance to do it this past month with not only like work being busy and life being busy, but then also E3. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. So yeah, Chris, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Penmawrights. I just casted my Sora, Kairi, and Riku for my interview thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to do that. Don't know how it's going to go, but we'll see. Please look out for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
You can follow me on Twitch at DownUpDestiny. And that's it. I'm currently writing a script for the interview with Kratos actually right now. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome. What about you, Josh? Where can people find you when you're not on ActiveQuest?
Mr. Josh Nichols on Twitter, JerkJer77 on Twitch, and you can also find me retweeting Joseph's pictures of his cats.
Oh man, did you see the one I posted today? I was clipping
the nails.
Yeah, it was clipping Moses' nails, and his face is so derpy. He is he's making this face of like, God, I'm so uncomfortable right now, but I know you're going to have to do this anyway. So
he's like letting you do it. Usually cats are like, get the fuck away from me. You're not touching my nails.
Well, I've been clipping his nails since he was a baby, so he's kind of used to it.
Oh, he's used to it, yeah.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Joseph Yaden, where I post pictures of my lovely cats. I have 2 Maine Coons, and they're very beautiful.
Maine Coons are the best cats, too.
And of course, on PlayStation Lifestyle covering news. I have a couple things in the works. Can't talk about them yet. So we'll see what happens with that. You'll know when those things come to fruition. Cool. So that's been episode 27. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Look out for the question inquiries starting with episode 27. Buy our shirts on Teespring. Find our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere that has podcasts. And if you want to be really awesome, if you love what we're doing here, you can toss us $1 on Patreon. We would really appreciate that, at least to cover the cost of hosting our stuff on, Podbean, I guess is what we use. So
yeah, they're our RSS feed hosts.
Yeah, so that'd be awesome.
Everyone buy Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator on Switch when it comes out this week, because that game looks awesome.
Oh, God. So, yeah, you can do that too if you want. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios.
Guys like Bowser's sunglasses I put on him?
Yeah.